Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Janae Lee with the Institute of Child Nutrition, and I would like to welcome you to the CICN April 2025 webinar, Setting Up Your Kitchen for Scratch and Speed Scratch Success. During today's webinar, all attendees will be muted. There will be time reserved for questions at the end of today's presentation. If you have a question, please use the Q&A box on your screen to type your question there. We will try to get to as many as we can, but every question may not get answered during the webinar today. After the webinar ends, a link to complete a short survey will appear. Individuals who have registered will receive a follow-up email that contains a webinar certificate of attendance, a recording link of this webinar available on iLearn, ICN's online learning platform, and a link to the evaluation survey in case you missed the pop-up link today. Due to the nature of this webinar, the slide deck will not be shared with our attendees today, but this webinar will be available in video format on iLearn. And you can access all of the resources for free on the CICN website as well. The Culinary Institute of Child Nutrition is a part of the Institute of Child Nutrition, the only federally funded national center dedicated to applied research, education, and training and technical assistance for child nutrition programs. The CICN was launched in 2018 by the Institute of Child Nutrition and the USDA Food and Nutrition Service to assist in meeting the unique culinary training, technical assistance, and professional development needs of school culinary operators. Please visit the Culinary Institute of Child Nutrition online to access our full catalog of training, as well as tools and resources to support the goals for your school nutrition program and school culinary operations. The topics covered in today's webinar fall under the key area nutrition, operations, and administration, and meet the USDA Professional Standards Code 1100 menu planning, 1130 utilize local food sources, especially farm to school when possible, 2100 for food production, and the description for that would be the 2130 develop culinary skills necessary for school meal preparation. And under administration, we have the 3500 USDA professional standards for facilities and equipment planning. And the description for that is the 3510 evaluate and plan facilities and equipment to meet program goals. Today's webinar presenters will share key steps on how they successfully transition to Scratch and speed Scratch cooking, along with practical tips on optimizing workflow, utilizing kitchen equipment efficiently, and implementing culinary assembly line techniques and more. The learning objectives for today's webinar are to identify key steps for transitioning to Scratch and speed Scratch cooking in school kitchens, recall practical tips for adapting your kitchen layout to optimize workflow, maximizing equipment use and efficiency when transitioning to Scratch and speed Scratch cooking, as well as we will be identifying successful examples for moving forward towards prepping menu items in-house with fresh and minimally processed ingredients. So we are happy to have you all here today, and I will now introduce our panelists who will bring a wealth of experience to today's session. First, we'll have Leah Botko, who is currently the Food Service Director at Littleton Public Schools in Massachusetts. At Littleton, she has built an award-winning program, last year winning the Terrific Tray of the Year, focusing on utilizing local ingredients to make delicious and nutritious meals. Littleton Public Schools is also a recipient of 2 recognition awards from the USDA Action for Healthy Kids. This recognition awards were for innovation in the cultural diversity of school meals and the Rural SFA Lunch Trailblazer Recognition Awards. LIT has incorporated a high percentage of menu items that utilizes speed scratch cooking with a goal of increasing flavor without sacrificing nutritional content. Her focus is creating innovative recipes that are designed to balance both local and commodity ingredients, adding flavors and techniques that expands her students' palates. Also joining us is Beth Cross, who started her academic career knowing that she wanted to be a school food service director and dietitian. She has worked as a school food service director in 5 school districts in upstate New York since 1995. Each district has had similar staffing and budget issues. Since 1995, she has seen students' food preferences change to wanting fresh, ethnic, and vegetarian, vegan choices. And Beth really enjoys her work because no day is the same. Beth has lived in Ithaca for the past 10 years and loves the community. Working with the ICSD Child Nutrition Team, she feeds all hungry students nutritious meals and a rewarding experience. In her spare time, Beth is a member of the Ithaca Dragon Boat Club and I may be butchering this, Cayuga Outrigger Club, and Beth, correct me if I'm wrong. And also, she loves to hike, paddleboard, and travel with her family. And at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Leah, who'll get us started with today's session.
Hey, thank you so much for the introduction. Let me share my screen here. Can everyone see my presentation? You're good?
Yeah, that looks good, Leah.
Great, thank you. So my name is Leah Bacco. I'm the food service director at Littleton Public Schools in Littleton, Massachusetts. And so since I started as a director here about 4 years ago, there's been a big movement, from our students on what they want for lunch. When I started here, the offerings were things, grilled cheese in a bag, prepackaged pancakes that, come in the little bags that we just warm up. And my whole attitude towards school lunch is just, let's go fresher. Let's go local. Let's make it delicious. Let's make the kids love it. Let's go colorful. So I'm here to talk to you about our transition into speed scratch cooking. So first, think about what should we make? There's a million different recipes in the world. What should we be making for our students? When I first started here in Littleton, I met with some student groups. I took surveys. I got some information. I met with the environmental club, who wanted to go to more, meatless options, things like that. They wanted to get rid of, styrofoam trays, all those kind of things. I met with cultural groups. We have a little population of Indian families. So they really wanted to see themselves represented in our lunch program as well. And then things like athletic clubs, the after school club. So these are the kids who are here longer for their days and they're hungrier and they want more protein and things like that. So the more information you can get from your community and your students and your staff, your teachers, the better. So the next thing you have to think of is, what do we already have a ton of? And why is it chickpeas? And why is it frozen blueberries? All these government commodities that you're just kind of sitting on, and you'll throw them out once in a while for a lunch, but maybe you could do something more with them. Another thing to consider is what is in season where you live. So in Massachusetts, we have things like, fiddleheads, we have asparagus, we have strawberries as it gets warmer. So those are things that I really like to incorporate so that the students can kind of put together, this is what I see growing and here it is on our plate. And then the last one is what just sounds delicious. Just things that you would want to eat yourself. Chances are your students will also want to eat. So the first step that I took as a new food service director, I've been a manager, I've been working in kitchens for a long time, but it was my first director position. So I really wanted to take outside help, basically. So I was thinking, let's go with trainings. Let's see what other people can bring in to help us make this program better. So I suggest starting with a low stress training, something like parents in the district. I had a mother who came in and showed us how to make chana masala because it's not something I was familiar with. And it was very low stress. She just came in, she showed us what she does at home, and I could take that and turn it into a child nutrition friendly recipe later. Another thing you could do is have, as your director, if you're a director, you can just go in and kind of show a few things. And it's not so formal that it feels intimidating. It's just kind of, oh, here's how we make a cheese sauce. Here's a roux, things like that. Other employees might have great ideas. They might be from other cultures. They might know something that you don't. So, tap into the potential of your staff and see what they like to do, what they like to cook. And you can kind of start there to train the rest of your staff around that. After that, you can kind of go a little bigger. So there are a lot of local organizations that are very willing and excited to help school nutrition professionals get the best food for the kids. One of my favorites is I went to college at Framingham State University in Framingham, Massachusetts, and they have a great program called the John Stalker Institute. So they offer all kinds of professional development. There's all kinds of classes that they'll come teach. It's a really holistic approach, and I really appreciate it. So they've come a couple times and shown, we do a Mediterranean day. We did, an Indian fair kind of thing. And they send their chefs down. We've had Chef Patty. She's lovely. We love her. And so Chef Patty comes in, she tells us about the region. We go ahead and cook, and we really learn together. There's a lot of great other, organizations. Obviously the Institute of Child Nutrition, they have a lot of great resources. Project Bread has some great resources, great recipes. And the same thing with the Chef Ann Foundation. Really great people, just all around great. But there are others. There's probably a local one near you who will come in and help you. So don't be afraid to reach out for help to help train your staff. I'll just touch briefly on equipment because I know Beth is going to go into it further, but you're probably going to need to update some of your equipment. There are a lot of, tools you can use to make your life a little easier. We got RoboCoops in all our schools. We're getting our Sunkiss orange slicers in all our schools. These are just things that really help scratch cooking not feel so tedious. You're not just sitting there chop, 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 chop. It's something that you can do faster, get it through, and make the staff feel a little better about what you're doing. And on that note, shortcuts are okay when it comes to scratch cooking because they're not shortcuts. It's not cheating. It's called speed scratch. So with speed scratch, this is our banh mi sandwich, which our children loved. You're using government commodity chicken. You can use your diced commodity chicken. You can use even pre-cooked ground beef, things like that come right from the government. And just spice it up, make it more appealing to your students, make it taste better, look better, smell better, everything. So the more you do with that, it gains the students' trust, and you can kind of build on recipes. So you can either pre-make your own spice blends. I have some shakers full of, barbecue spices and, spicy, like a buffalo sauce kind of spice. But there are also companies out there who will sell prepackaged spice kits. There's this one in particular, Flavor Temptations. They have these great spice blends. So it comes with the seeds in a packet and the spices. So your staff doesn't have to worry about, knowing exactly how much spice to add because it's already there for you. And it kind of takes away that element of, oh, is this how it's supposed to taste? Like, should it be spicier? So that's been really helpful for us since, this is new to us. We're all learning together. And like I said, your pre-cooked commodity chicken, your pre-cooked beef even, you can find ways to spice it up and make it more presentable, more delicious, and it's still speed scratch. My suggestion when you're going into scratch cooking or speed scratch cooking is just start with vegetables. These are great things that you can get from the farm, local farms, food hubs, things like that. They're quick. There's quick recipes. It's easy to follow the recipes. You can start out very basic. Our steamed carrots on the top there, the rainbow carrots, delicious. Kabasha squash, like I was talking about the fiddleheads, really just salt, maybe salt, pepper, onion powder, garlic seasoning, just throw in the oven, delicious. And then as time goes on, down the bottom, we have, kale mixed with roasted chickpeas and craisins. And that's actually John Stalker, Chef Patty, threw that together and it was delicious. And so you can kind of build on it, once you get comfortable, you can get more complex with time. And it really does impress the students, when you come out with your tomato and feta salad, they really like to try it. And you'll be surprised at what they will try because they're really adventurous. And then moving on, my next, I would suggest go to sauces. You can make your homemade Alfredo sauces. We tried homemade tomato soup, homemade coleslaw, things like that. Mac and cheese, chicken pot pie, things like that you kind of just throw together. Condiments, make your own sriracha mayonnaise. That's an easy one, literally sriracha mayonnaise. And kids love it. They just throw it on top of everything, even kelp meatballs, which we did recently. But soups are a super easy one. You throw everything in the fridge, you blend it together, it's delicious. So that is my, suggestion for the next thing you might do. And then the last thing I suggest is meats. So these are things that you really need to be careful with. It needs to be, temperature controlled. You need to make sure the staff wash their hands, they wash the counters, everything gets cleaned, sanitized, needs to be stored on the bottom. So it's just a little more involved. So I would definitely get the staff more comfortable with cooking things like veggies and sauces and marinades and things like that before going into meat. But once you get to meat, I mean, there's nothing more delicious. We got these local wings from a farm called Walden Farm. And I don't like chicken wings, and they're the most delicious chicken wings I've ever had in my life. So I suggest getting there, but slowly. So my overall system when it comes to scratch cooking is, hype it up. So we get the students involved, get everyone on board, so after you do that and you come up with your items that you want to make, test them, give it to the kids, let them try it. They'll tell you, they'll let you know what they think about it. They're pretty honest. And then they'll rate it. Things like local vendors might come and do taste tests. So that's a good way to always hype something up. The kelp gentleman came down and he showed us, his kelp meatballs, and we had a lot of administrative support, which is really exciting. When you can get the adults trying it, it makes the kids trust it. And then you can, build from there. So when I say hype it up, what do I mean? This is what I mean. So get your staff and your students excited. So social media, we were pretty big on Facebook and Instagram. So a lot of our parents follow us. They look into what we're doing. They like the pictures. We try to get students on there as much as we can. So using your social media, you can hype up local farm visits, vendor visits. A lot of places will come do samples. So that's always really exciting for the kids. We can do giveaways. So when we had our Woodle Bar, we gave away these little cute pillows that had the little ramen bowl on it, and they were so cute. And that's just another way to, get our students excited about lunch and really have them participate with us. And, use your menu, because not all parents are on social media. So below there is our Tuesday bowl day, new build your own ramen bowl. So it really, locally grown. When it's vegetarian, like this is vegetarian, let your audience know, what we're trying to do here, and they'll support it. The families will support it. And after that, taste testing, the best part. So we do try day Friday, try day. We have stickers, we do giveaways, like I said, lay out a new table. Students are very aware when something in the lunchroom is a little bit different. If you have a new tablecloth, if there's a sample station out, they get excited about it. And it's a great way to really encourage students to try new things. So any decorations, any silly hats, they love it. So you hype it up and then you test it and then you rate it. So this is just an example of literally what I bought to start doing the Friday Try-Day testing, to track how the students feel about new things. So Sharpies, a board, stickers, paper, little sample cups, things like that. So it's $175. I got it for all the schools. And now we can do new things. And then we just kind of flip the page, do another new thing, flip the page, do another new thing. And I think it's really valuable to do it this way on paper like this, because you can track it. You can go back and go, oh man, what did they think about that pizza? You literally just flip it back and you can look at it. So I think $175 well spent. Get your stickers. The kids love them. So these are just a couple examples of things that we've been doing. So there's too many chickpeas in your storage closet, make chana masala, give them little sample cups, let them try it. It can be a meatless Monday option. And not all students are going to love it, of course, but the students who do love it really do appreciate when you try to incorporate, different cultural backgrounds. Too many boxes of blueberries, make smoothies. These smoothies we did with a little bit of spinach in them, and the students liked them. I mean, different schools like them a different amount, but at least they tried it, and they're trying new things, and it's always great to try new things. Commodity broccoli. So you can make broccoli tots, and I think they're delicious. They just have some cheese in them, some broccoli, egg. And the younger students really appreciated them. Older students, not so much, but that's okay because they're trying new things, and that's important. So once you find the things that your staff is comfortable cooking, your students are happy with the results of how it tastes and they like it, then you menu it. And then you add it into your monthly rotation, whatever your rotation is. And then it just kind of sticks on that menu, and you're always kind of adapting what the students like and don't like. And this picture over here is our cheeseburger nachos. And so we're always kind of playing with what kind of nachos, should they be the Doritos in the bag? Should they be bulk Doritos? So you're always kind of learning what the students will like. And that's so important, just to keep trying to get them on board. So challenges, of course, there's challenges with scratch cooking. I love my staff, so I'll start with that, but I'll say, staffing is the hardest part. I mean, having enough staff, having enough people in each kitchen, having the staff willing to try new things. I think that is probably one of the biggest roadblocks. But let's be honest, like, school lunch isn't what it used to be. I know it's fancy, and I've gotten, my staff, they'll say, like, this isn't a restaurant. What do they get to decide? But this is the new expectation for school lunch. Students want Boloco, they want, Chick-fil-A in the lunchroom. They just do. And we have a lot of competition. They can go to Dunkin' Donuts down the street. They can go to Wendy's, so we really have to be competing with things like that, or else we won't make the money to continue offering these great foods. The stigma of school lunch being, gross and boring is always a stigma, but that's why I always suggest, social media, take pictures, let parents know what you're doing, because it's hard work to cook from scratch, and they need to know that you're doing this for their students. And then eventually the stigma will dissipate slowly. And another one is my business manager. This isn't profitable. You're giving them too much food, too many options. It's too delicious and lovely. But truly, the more students who eat lunch with us, the more reimbursements we get, the more money we have to do other great things. So just keep your head up and keep trying. Staff recognition is what I'm talking about. I mean, you have to appreciate the people who make it happen, because you can sit in a back room somewhere and you can make menus all day and all night, and you can have all these great scratch ideas. But these are the people who put it together. So it's always important to let them know how you really do appreciate them trying new things, and always, stepping it up. I feel like every month we always try something new, and they could just lay down and say, this is hard, I don't want to. But they don't, they keep trying. So I always suggest, things like jackets, shirts, hats. We have so many shirts. Anything fun that really shows them that you really appreciate them. We have Pirate Day. We try to go with all the the theme days that come from the School Nutrition Association. And anytime I can bring anyone to a food show or a conference, just to let them know, this is a big world out there, and you might just feel like you're plating up a cheeseburger, but really this is so much bigger than that, because the students need this nutrition, and it's so important to so many people that they get great food. And to end, just don't get discouraged. You do what you're best at, and you're going to do great. You just keep trying new things, and don't feel like you need to do everything at once, because you can start slowly, build a few things into your menu, and it's going to feel better the slower you do it, because it's going to come more naturally the more you do it. Something that you thought was so hard in the beginning, it won't be by the time you're done. So that is all I have. And follow us on Facebook and Instagram if you'd like. Thank you for listening. Do I need to click out of here?
Okay, can everybody see my presentation? Okay. I'm Beth. I'm the food service director here at Ithaca City School District. In 1995, when I started in school lunch, things were very different back then. We did everything from scratch. My first school district, we started with 500 meals from scratch. And at that time, our equipment was very limited. We had an old-fashioned steamer where you crank the handles. I don't even know if they make them anymore. And an old-fashioned oven with a stovetop to do 500 meals. It was a bigger oven, but that's what we had. So here at Ithaca City School District, we have 5,000 students compared to when I first started, 72 different languages. So there's lots of cultural diversity here in this district. And I will go to my next slide. So we have CEP. This is the first year that we are all free in all of our 13 buildings. We are making about 3,000 lunches and 1,300 breakfasts this year. We have a central kitchen, which we moved everything to this building, which is called Boynton Middle School. We moved everything here last year. So the high school was kind of cooking separately before last year, and we served approximately 600 to 700 lunches there a day. So we moved everything to this kitchen, which is Boynton Middle School. We also changed, and we have an executive chef now, a school operations specialist who goes to the other schools to check to make sure they're doing everything correctly. We have a cook manager, a cook, and assistant cook. So our production team really is quite small. The executive chef, the cook manager, the cook, and the assistant cook do all the scratch cooking here. The first thing we purchased was the Rational Combi Pro ovens. We had older ovens that weren't working properly, so we purchased a total of 2. In 2022, I paid $23,511 on a New York State contract for those. So I don't know what the price is now, but they're a great combi oven, which does steam and heat and a combination of both. We had Chef Ann, actually herself, come in the summer of 2021. And she did an assessment on our kitchens, and she said, you need to get this food processor. So we got this Hobart food processor, and we do all the salad bar items here out of this food processor. And the salad bar is sent to 13 different buildings. So here are the breakdowns of what we purchased total with the food processor, but it was worth every penny. And also that was on our New York State contract. Look at this. We have a very, very old Hobart commercial mixer. We have several old Hobart mixers here, and this one is great for making hummus. Of course, you're going to have a lot of pan racks. You can see the homemade macaroni and cheese that'll go into the coolers. We have purchased 2 blast chillers here. They're Ironox blast chillers, but at this point we cannot use them because the electricity in our building won't support it. So they're working on the electric this summer. So we use a lot of pan racks to pan things up and get them cooled right into our cooler. So that's one of our challenges is electricity, but the school district is upgrading that in a capital project. We have 2 kettle mixers that you'll see on the left. Those right now, I priced them out or over 100,000 each. Those here at this district are very, very old, so we baby those along. We had these Cambros. We have purchased a new one this year that is more updated, but these are working right now. So these are what we send the food out into the buildings with. Behind it, we purchased some more coolers to hold our salad bar items that are going out from here also. Lots and lots of pans. We have gone to 2-inch pans. You'll see the plastic pans that'll go out to the buildings with the salad bar in it. And then of course we have boards on what building gets what each day. So they email in and say, hey, I need more of this and more of that each day. We have an immersion blender, 1 or 2. So making the slaw is cut up in our Hobart food processor. We make the slaw with the immersion blender and it goes together. Last year we were serving up about 1,200 warm, delicious French toast. We are up in counts this year. So the French toast gets made in the 2-inch pans. The chicken gets made on sheet pans. And right now we have an unlimited salad bar. So you can tell that everything's chopped at one building with that excellent food processor and sent out. You're gonna need long tables to do your production lines and pack everything up on. If you're doing scratch cooking though, all you would need is a long table. So the pancake sandwich, everybody gets out there and works on it. We're so short staffed. Last week, all three of us in this office that, we've been going out doing dishes. We made grilled cheese. So there's a lot of that too. We all work as a team. We have great staff here. This is the chickpea masala. Again, that's done in the kettles and in the combi oven. We also have the sun-kissed slicer, which we're using for potatoes sometimes. We do a cheesy BLT sub, and that's all lined up on the tables on sheet pans to do it all at once. The honey garlic chicken. We use the commodity chicken for that and do the honey garlic sauce, and the honey garlic sauce goes on at the buildings before they heat the chicken. And then the Cuban sandwich, you can see the production on that in the right-hand side. That is a long table that we do that on. We use local bakery bread from Ithaca Bakery. They have done a formula for us and use ingredients that make it whole grain. We're lucky about that. Vegan pasta fajoule is very, very popular, and that's done in a 2-inch pan, reheated at the buildings after it's cooled and then reheated at the buildings. We do loaded turkey subs. The butter chicken with rice is another scratch cooking, and here they really, really like that. And then we take the bread ends at the end of the days and make homemade bread crumbs. Production of beef. We roast off iron rounds in the beef in the combi ovens. So we use combi ovens for that. On the right-hand side, you can see the chicken quesadillas that get made. And we do a lot of Facebook messaging and posts about what's our ingredients and how things are made. So you can follow us on Facebook. If you have any equipment questions or specification questions, you can always email me at Ithaca City School District. It's just easier because our emails are so long, just to look up Ithaca City School District and email me there. Thank you.
Thank you all so much. Can you hear me okay?
Okay, perfect. It's the weather is really bad here, so I want to make sure you all can hear me really well. So yeah, thank you both for going into depth with what you all are doing with Scratch cooking and Speed Scratch. We do have a few questions in the chat that I'm going to pull up right now, and let's see what we have here. I think Leah, you was able to get to some questions. Let's go there so we can share those questions with all of the attendees here. So there was one that asked about the spice packs and were they low sodium. Can you go into detail about what you shared?
Yeah, so yep, the spice packs, they're very low sodium. I wish I had one in my hand to look it up, but they're made for school districts. The whole story behind it, they're a great family. The mom made the spice packs to send with her son to college so that he could make, traditional Indian food at school because he wasn't the greatest cook. So she figured, hey, if my son can do it, anyone can do it. So she started selling bulk packaging, but yes, it's very low sodium and it's delicious and I recommend it.
That's awesome. Thank you for that. Thank you for sharing. Beth, there's a question from you from Lisa. Lisa asks, do you have a central kitchen?
Yes, we do have a central kitchen. It is not that large, but we do have a central kitchen here and we have a truck. So everything goes out on the truck in 2 different loads to our 13 buildings each day.
Wow. That takes a lot of coordinating. So
Yes.
yeah, you guys are awesome in making that happen. Leah, there's another question from Rob who had asked about whether you use the Healthy Pro for menu planning. And he asked about the recipe for the bolognese sandwich. Is that something that we can share with our attendees who are interested in that?
Yeah, absolutely. Can I send it in the chat or is there an easier way to do it?
You can, but if you will send it to my email, I can make sure I send that out to a blast email, or we can also put that as a resource on our on the resources under the webinar, so our attendees can have access to that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's see what we have here. Okay, so Karen asked, and this is a question for you both. Karen mentioned all of the menu items look delicious. Do you find the younger grades are receptive to the new menu items, or do you mainly start at the middle or high school? And either one of you can go first on that.
Do you want me to start? I'll start. We honestly have found that our younger students, I'm not sure if it's because now in Massachusetts, all meals are free. So all of our students are eating. But the younger students really, they really like everything we do. They try almost everything. It's really funny. And the high school students, it's give or take. They'll either, try everything because they're so hungry, or they will, they'll be like, ew, gross. So you kind of got to work with them, but it depends on the item. But yeah, the little kids for some reason are very, very willing to try, at least here.
Yeah. I have a follow-up question for you. When you when you accept the feedback from students who may not like it at first, do you all tweak certain things, or do you try to put it out again for them to see if they will, sometimes it takes that second time for you to put it on the menu and then they hopefully would try it. How do you go about, I guess, not encouraging them, I would say, to try the recipe?
Yeah, we menu it, of course, a couple times before I completely scrap it if they didn't like it. But a lot of the times just seeing their friends eating it, they'll be like, oh, it sounded weird on the menu, but that looks pretty good. So definitely, and even the marketing can change it. So even if you switch the wording around, instead of a bacon cheeseburger or a cheeseburger bacon burger, like it's funny because you can kind of play with it and try to make it more popular the next time. Yeah.
Right. That's awesome. Beth, what about you?
So what I wanted to say is everything's cooked here. Can you hear me? Everything's cooked here in the central kitchen. So we tried to make it, so if it came out spicy the first time and we got the feedback that little kids didn't like the spices, we tried to make it more of the medium level. So all students will try it and like it. So we do everything 6 times here with our 6-week cycle throughout the school year. So we have 40 school weeks. We figure that it comes up 6 times. So the chickpea Marcella has taken off. The Bombay aloo that we have has taken off. So yes, it takes a little while, but they all seem to like it.
Oh, that's awesome. Have you seen any like major differences between the younger grades versus the older students on their favor for the new items?
Yes, and I think more and more we're getting requests for vegan and vegetarian foods or non-dairy, so that would be more vegan foods. So yes, and the salad bar constitutes as a meal. We have everything on the salad bar. We even have a protein on there. And so when I work at the elementary school some days, it's amazing that the kids that just take salad bar and take the yogurt off the salad bar and the greens off the salad bar. So it's amazing that the kids are just healthy eaters. They're getting more and more healthy from what I've seen. So that's
No,
great.
yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, you shared a little bit about that with the trend for students, wanting more of those vegan or vegetable options. So it's great to see that they're receptive to those fresh ingredients. So that's really great. We have a question from an attendee that asks, this is for you, Beth. Do you have a cleaning crew for the equipment, or do you special train staff?
Our staff is trained to clean the equipment. And of course, at the end of the day, there's a custodial staff that comes in and cleans the floors and everything else. But our staff has been trained to clean the equipment. Actually, on the rational combi oven, a representative comes down and trains if there's problems or they don't understand, because we have several non-speaking English speaking people also. So they'll come several times and help out. So that's great. We do have trainers that come down.
That's awesome. How is the scheduling with that? Like, have you all found that it was pretty easy to kind of build in that time to make sure the equipment is cleaned and sanitized? How is your scheduling around that?
Yes, we have the built-in time, and when we schedule trainings, we have to schedule them at 1 p.m. because most people leave by 1:30. This is a very early building. It's 5:30, but yes, everybody pitches in here. I do say this is a wonderful staff. So everybody pitches in and helps each other.
That's awesome. All right, let's see what else we have. There is a request from Shanae Beth on sharing the butter chicken recipe. If you're for sharing that, we can also get that added to the resource list as well.
Sure, I'll share the honey garlic chicken recipe. Sure, I'll send it to you via email.
Perfect, thank you. Let's see what else we have here. Oh, someone mentioned Leah Spiceology also makes a salt-free seasoning. Maria asks, how do you reduce food waste when cooking from scratch? What are your thoughts on that? We'll start with Leah first.
Sure. So first of all, we compost here. We compost all of our food scraps, so we don't feel so bad about any waste anyway. But you just try to use every part of, your fruits and veggies. Celery, you make celery sticks. And then, you can use it in soups and things like that. Or if the same thing, peppers, if they're not going on the salad bar, you can go ahead and cook them up and roast them. So reutilizing food, things like that. But if you can compost, that helps with the guilt a little bit. So that's my suggestion.
That's a very great suggestion. What about you, Beth?
We also compost here, but what I do see is whole fruits going out, or There's more wasted a whole fruit going out than like the slicer. So use the slicer to use the apples. We purchased for the Sunkist slicer, we purchased the apple corer part. It's an extra part that doesn't come with them. And so it cores right the apples. So you can slice the apples. And so using a slicer is a great thing, the Sunkist slicer, for lessening food waste, I see. And so.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. I have a question for you, Beth, from Shannon, who asked, how many square footage is the Ithaca Central Kitchen?
That I'd have to get back to you on. I don't know, but it's not that large. And compared to many districts I've been in, it's not that large. But I will get back to you on that. I'll email it to you.
Okay. And there's Karen asked Leah, she said, remind us of where to get the spice packets.
Yeah, so I get those. It's called Flavor Temptations, and they're on, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, things like that. But if you just type in Flavor Temptations, it should come up.
Perfect. Thank you for giving that out again. And we have a question from Melinda, who asked, do all of your schools have the same equipment? And this is for Beth. If not, do you have to adjust recipes to include instructions for different equipment?
So, everything comes out of the central kitchen to the 13 schools. All the 13 schools only have convection ovens right now. So yes, except for Boynton in the high school, nobody has a combi oven except those two buildings. So yes, we do tweak the recipes if they reheat them in those buildings.
Awesome. Let's see what else we have. I'm going to say your recipes really look great, and I agree, if you offer some fun with the students, the more engaged they will be. Yeah, I guess I want to ask, I have a quick question for you both. With your students, how are they with, do you have an opportunity for them to kind of put in recommendations for what they would like to see? Once you put out a new recipe, are there recommendations from your students to like make it different somehow? How do you go about taking those recommendations from your students and making new recipes out of their recommendations? Do you all offer that at all?
I try to do a survey that goes, I do a separate one to parents and then a separate one to students, because what they both say are not usually the same thing. So they usually say, this is what I loved, please serve more of this, but never serve this again. Things like the banh mi sandwich, that was actually a suggestion from one of the surveys. So that's how we usually get that information.
That's great. What about you, Beth?
So in one of our buildings, we have a secret taste tester. So it's a student who comes in who doesn't like a lot of different foods, and every day the student comes into the kitchen and taste tests both items and rates them, and it's put on a board for all the other students to see if that student liked or disliked, and then the other kids can chime in also after they taste it. That's one of the best things that's happened. And then the other thing is we do send out surveys. Middle school, elementary school, you really don't get a lot off the surveys. We did send a survey out to an English class separately because we have such a big high school. And the English class helped, it was part of their project to do the survey. So we got a lot of good feedback on that.
That's awesome. It sounds like both the survey works really well for you both, so that's really great. There was someone in the Q&A who asked about the salad bar, Seth. They asked, do you toss everything within the salad bar at the end of the day? Do you trash everything, or how do you go about doing that?
Is that for me or Leah? Most everything's gone. So you know between the lines. So yeah. So if there's lettuce left in the cooler, of course we would keep that. But most everything's gone by the end of the day in these buildings. They really, especially fruit. I have noticed that the fruit consumption, our fruit bills are much higher than our vegetables, but they really, really go through our salad bars. Our salad bars are unlimited here. So once they get a meal, they can come back and get more salad bars. So yeah, it goes really well.
That's awesome. And a follow-up question to that is it on your serving line or a separate line?
We actually have salad bars that are right next to the serving line. So in some buildings, they're right on the serving line, and then some we have purchased the Cambro salad bars. Make sure when you're purchasing, you get small, short salad bars for the elementary school with the shorter legs, and then the high school is the higher ones.
Awesome. Someone just mentioned about the elementary, how do you go about doing the salad bars for that one? So you're right on the money with that. All right, let's see what we have here. Someone asked, and we have a couple of people who asked about this. I'm not sure which one of you may have talked about this, but apples. What do you use to keep your apples from browning? And someone asked, do you add lemon juice to prevent them from turning brown? So a few people have asked about what's your to-go thing to do to keep apples from browning. Leah, why don't you start us off with that?
Sure. I just figured this out this year. If you put a gallon of water and about a tablespoon of salt and mix it up, right? And then you throw the apples in there and then you take them off and you rinse them. They stay good and they don't taste like lemon and they don't taste salty and they don't brown as much. So I just figured that out this year and that was the best thing I've ever heard in my life.
Okay, I'll have to try that. What about you, Beth?
I agree with Leah on that also because of the citrus allergies. Some students have a citrus allergy. So, you know, hiding lemon juice in an apple really would have to be posted, you know? So yes, it's the water salt solution.
Awesome. Thank you all for sharing that. Leah, I wanted to go back to you. You kind of put out some local organizations that you said can help with staff training. Have you, you may have mentioned one, but have you worked with one specifically? How did they support your team? And will you, I guess, partner or collaborate with them again on with that?
Yeah, I mean, so it's the local one that I go to most of the time because I went to college there. So it kind of just, I like to go to them. So it's in at Framingham State, the John Stalker Institute. They're always coming up with these great new ideas and these great new trainings, and they're always adding to it. I already scheduled next year's training for plant-based dishes because every Monday we do Meatless Monday. So I suggest to anyone, look for local colleges that have nutrition degrees and nutrition programs, and chances are they will, you know, work with you or create a program even to come out to the schools and do some training. It's great, and they're so, you know, just laid back about it, and they're so knowledgeable, and it's just it's been great.
That's awesome. That's really great. Partnerships like that make a world of difference in your program. So that's really awesome. Beth, I have a question for you. Do you find that having better equipment saves on time and labor?
Could you repeat the middle of that question because I didn't hear the middle?
Yes. Do you find that having better equipment save time and labor?
Oh, definitely. That food processor. Yes, that's wonderful. Yeah, better equipment always saves time and labor. Even if it's old equipment. So you saw that old Hobart that we make hummus in. If it's working in the old equipment that's 50 to 60 years old, lasts longer. In my experience of this 30 years that I've been doing this, the older the equipment, it lasts longer than the new equipment that we purchase. But yeah.
Yeah, you put very old in that the mixer on the slide there, but hey, if it works, then why not use it, you know? So that's awesome. And this may have been a question for you both, but Deborah asked, do you find you have any challenges with other dietary restrictions such as halal?
Go
Oh,
ahead.
go ahead, Leah.
Um, yes, I mean, it's more and more as kind of the years go on. I mean, we have a lot of gluten-free. So you need, of course, like your separate cutting boards, your separate knives, separate pans, things like that. Luckily, there's a lot of development out there from other companies who are looking into foods that fit those qualifications so that we can kind of pivot with the times.
Yeah. Go ahead, Beth.
I was going to say, yes, if we had the halal ask, I was asked by the administration, have you had any kids ask? Of course, we would provide for that. And so we provide the best we can, but the salad bar really covers a lot of different dietary restrictions. So, and of course, with the gluten-free, if we have a note, we will provide gluten-free. So yeah, I think the salad bar is a great option for all those dietary restrictions because it does contain proteins and grains. And we switch out the proteins week to week. Sometimes it's tofu, sometimes it's yogurt, sometimes it's cheese. So yeah, it's a great.
Awesome. And someone asked, how does self-serve work? Do the students do really great with that?
I'll answer that. So we have a pre-K building. So it's just called the annex, a very small pre-K building. And we have aides helping them. So the aides are right behind the students if there's a problem. Actually, those little 4-year-olds can serve themselves on the salad bar, but there is an aide standing behind there just in case there's a, question or to help them. So yeah, it starts right at 4 years old, 3 and 4 years old, actually.
Yeah. Okay, thanks for sharing that. And Christina asked, how do you pick the secret tester?
Actually, the principal.
Awesome. Okay.
Tester,
Great way.
because it was
Yeah.
a picky eater that they were having issues with, so that's what they did. The principal picked the secret tester.
That's good. And Leah, you were gonna add to that last question. Sorry, I didn't mean to blow past you.
No, that's fine. I was curious about the secret tester too. At our schools, we don't have, unfortunately, a salad bar at the K-2, which is very sad. But 3 and up, it starts out a little messy. But by the end of the year, they're really great at. They're better at keeping it, pretty clean. But like Beth was saying earlier, by the end of the day, everything's gone. Everything's gone.
Yeah.
The other day, I walked into a kitchen and there was like 3 slices of kiwi. And I was like, no one came back for these? Are you kidding me? I'm shocked.
Right.
They eat everything, but it's great.
No, that's awesome, right? Hey, we need putting out fresh ingredients and things. That's the idea. So, yeah, well, it looks like we are running out of time. I do have to get some announcements in, but I think some other comments were just saying, sharing the recipes, if they could get, some insight on the recipes that you all shared. So once we have those, we'll make sure that we add them to our resource list. And so now I'm just going to transition to our announcements and close out for the day. Leah and Beth, did you want to add any last bits at all? Did you have it? Okay. All right. Well, we'll move it right along here. So we have the upcoming webinar on May 1st. Please save the date for that. It will be on reducing sodium with scratch cooking in schools. So once the registration information is provided, it'll be on the website. Please remember to register for that. We'll love to see you on that session. And then as a reminder, you can access all of these resources with the webinars, resources that are related to scratch cooking on the CICN website. You can also scan this QR code before we end for the day to go straight to the site where those resources are located and are free for downloaded. And also, we will send out an evaluation after the webinar has ended. If you missed the evaluation pop-up, we'll also include that in the follow-up email with the certificate as well. But until then, we'll see you all in the next one. Thank you so much, Beth and Leah, for sharing all of your expertise and your really great looking recipes. We hope to see you on a future one as well. And I hope you all have a great day.